Binya felt no fear when climbing trees. She was proud of the fact that she could climb them as well as Biju. Gripping the rough cherry bark with her toes and using her knees as leverage, she crawled along the trunk of the projecting tree until she was almost within reach of the umbrella. She noticed with dismay that the blue cloth was torn in a couple of places. So Binya was very good at climbing trees. She could climb any tree as well as her brother. So she had the little bit of courage. So she gripped the bark of the cherry tree and slowly, using her knees as leverage, she crawled inch by inch slowly on the trunk of the tree. But when she was literally near the umbrella, she noticed with dismay. She felt so sad she felt disappointed that the blue cloth of the umbrella was torn in two places because of the fall. She looked down, and it was only then that she felt afraid. She was right over the chance, balanced precariously about 80 feet above the boulder-strewn stream. Looking down, she felt quite dizzy. Her hands shook, and the tree shook too. If she slipped now, there was only one direction in which she could fall down, down into the depths of the dark and shadowy ravine. So she looked down while she was in the tree. She just looked down and she saw that she started feeling afraid. What did she see down? It was right over the chart. She's about 80 feet from the stream, and the stream is full of boulders. Boulders is large rocks and stones. So looking down, when she looked down, she started feeling dizzy. That is, her head started feeling dizzy, and her hand was shaking. And when her hand shook, the tree also was shaking. If she slipped there, what happens? She is going to fall 80 feet below into the creek of the ravine of the mountain. So that is going to be really bad for her. There was only one thing to do: concentrate on the patch of blue just a couple of feet away from her. She did not look down or up, but straight ahead, and willing herself forward, she managed to reach the umbrella. She could not crawl back with it in her hands, so after dislodging it from the forked branch in which it had stuck, she let it fall, still open, into the ravine below. Cushioned by the wind, the umbrella floated serenely downwards, landing in a thicket of nettles. So what happens? The umbrella was just 2 feet away, so she did not confuse herself. She did not look down. She did not look up. Her entire focus was fixed only straight ahead on the blue umbrella. She had loved the umbrella so dearly that she did not want to let it go. So she concentrated only on the umbrella and slowly reached it. And what she could not carry it back to the mountain, because she needs both her hands and feet to climb the mountain. So she could not carry the umbrella. So she slowly pushed the umbrella down into the stream. And what happens? The umbrella, because the wind was playing there, so wind had slowly made it land on a bush of nettles. Nettles is a kind of bushy plant with thorns. After pushing the umbrella down from the mountain, she crawled back. Binya crawled back along the trunk of the cherry tree. 20 minutes later, she emerged from the nettle clump, her precious umbrella held aloft. She had nettle stings all over her legs, but she was hardly aware of the smarting. She was as immune to nettles as Biju was to bees. So, after Binyam slowly crawled back to the mountain, to the cliff, and climbed up the cliff. And she went, after 20 minutes, took 20 minutes for her to get down to the stream. She went to the nettle clump, and she slowly release the umbrella from the bush. One nettle is a plant which has a lot of thorny spines, and so many spines had actually pricked all over her legs, but she was not actually aware. She was immune to nettles. That is, she has been pricked so many times in nettles that she was immune to it. She did not feel the pain as much as Biju is immune to bees. Biju had been struck so many times by the bees that he was quite immune to. That is, he did not feel the pain of the bees. We go to the next chapter. About 4 years previously, Biju had knocked a hive out of an oak tree and had been badly stung about the face and legs. It had been a painful experience, but now, if a bee stung him, he felt nothing at all. He had been immunized for life. What happened earlier, 4 years back? What happened? Biju mistakenly knocked out a beehive, and all the bees came out, and they stung him on the face and the legs. What happens? It was a painful experience, but what happens? Till he became immunized with the bees sting, and so whenever another bee stings him, he does not feel any pain. He was on his way home from school. It was 2 o'clock and he hadn't eaten since 6 in the morning. Fortunately, the kingoga bushes, the bilberries, were in fruit, and already Biju's lips were stained purple with the juice of the wild sour fruit. He didn't have any money to spend at Ram Bharosa's shop, but he stopped there anyway to look at the sweets in the glass jars. So Biju was coming from school. He has not eaten anything in the morning. He was very hungry. But while on the wayside there were this kingora bushes. So the bilberries were small berries, and a lot of fruits were in those bushes. So he picked them and he had been eating it. So it was purple in color, so his lips were all purple with the juice of the fruit. So whenever they have money, as I told earlier, when Biju or Binya used to have money with them, they will go to Ram Bharosa's shop and get some sweets or something to eat. But today Biju is not having any money, but still he stood along at the Ram Bharosa shop and just looked at all the sweets that were put in the glass jars. "And what will you have today?" asked Ram Bharosa. "No money," said Biju. "You can pay me later." Biju shook his head. Some of his friends had taken sweets on credit, and at the end of the month they had found they had eaten more sweets than they could possibly pay for. As a result, they had to hand over to Ram Bharosa some of their most treasured possessions, such as a curved knife for cutting grass, or a small hand axe, or a jug for pickles, or a pair of earrings, and these had become the shopkeeper's possessions, and they were kept by him or sold in his shop. So this fellow, the shopkeeper, Ram Bharosa, was a kind of a crooked person, a good guy. What he does is, he will ask the children to take sweets and eat without taking the money. But at the end of the month, what happens? The children keep on taking sweets and eat them on credit. What happens? A lot of money will have to be settled to Ram Bharosa. But what happens? Whenever the children are not able to settle, he will take some of their good things from them. What are those good things? So, curved knife, hand axe, jar, all the things. Whatever the children are having, he will take that, and he will, in return for the sweets they have eaten. So like that, and these things, what he will do? He will sell it in his shop. Some nice things will be there, some treasured things with the children, whatever they have, he'll take it from them and sell it in his shop. So like that, similarly, when Biju was standing at the shop, Ram Bharosa asked him, "What do you want? What do you want to have?" Then Biju says, "I don't have money." But then Ram Bharosa is telling, "You can pay me later." So Biju is aware of what Ram Bharosa said. Thus, so he already knows that Ram Bharosa will make him eat the sweets for the month and ask something from him. That is his that is his most treasured one, something he will ask in return for the sweets money. Ram Bharosa had set his heart on having Binya's blue umbrella, and so naturally he was anxious to give credit to either of the children, but so far neither had fallen into the trap. Biju moved on, his mouth full of kingora berries. Halfway home, he saw Binya with the cows. It was late evening and the sun had gone down, but Binya still had the umbrella open. The two small rents had been stitched up by her mother. So what happens? So Vigambarosa's trick is to somehow trick the children Binya or Biju into buying sweets from him, and in return he wants to somehow take the umbrella from. He really liked the blue umbrella like the children do, and so somehow he was anxious to get the umbrella from them. But Biju, or either Biju and Binya, both of them were smart enough and they never fell into this trap. So Biju moved on and he settled himself with the berries and he moved on. He saw Binya with the cows. It was evening and but still the umbrella was still open, and those two holes, the tears that the umbrella was having because of the fall, that her mother has stitched up for her. Biju gave his sister a handful of berries. She handed him the umbrella while she ate the berries. "You can have the umbrella until we get home," she said. It was a way of rewarding Biju for bringing her the wild fruit. Calling Nilu, Gori, Binya and Biju set out for home, followed at some distance by the cows. It was dark before they reached the village, but Biju still had the umbrella open. Most of the people in the village were a little envious of Binya's blue umbrella. No one else had ever possessed one like it. The schoolmaster's wife thought it was quite wrong for a poor cultivator's daughter to have such a fine umbrella, while she, a second-class BA, had to make do with an ordinary black one. Her husband offered to have their old umbrella dyed blue. She gave him a scornful look and loved him a little less than before. The pujari, who looked after the temple, announced that he would buy a multicolored umbrella the next time he was in town. A few days later, he returned looking annoyed and grumbling that they weren't available except in Delhi. Most people consoled themselves by saying that Binya's pretty umbrella wouldn't keep out the rain if it rained heavily, that it would shrivel in the sun if the sun was fierce, that it would collapse in a wind if the wind was strong, that it would attract lightning if lightning fell near it, and that it would prove unlucky if there was any ill luck going about. Secretly, everyone admired it. So, the village in which Binya lived is a very simple one. So people do not have posh or very rich kind of things in that village. So this blue umbrella, everyone secretly wanted that umbrella. They always felt that the umbrella was very different and pretty, and different people had a wish to have the umbrella. One of them was the schoolmaster's wife. So she thought that a poor farmer's child should not have such a good umbrella, because she was a second class BA from BA and she herself had a black one. So now what happened? Her husband told that is the schoolmaster told that he could put the black umbrella and color it into blue one and bring it. But then she knew it would not be like that beautiful umbrella. So she was angry with that man. The pujari, that is a temple priest, he also liked the umbrella. So what happened? He told that he will get that one when he went to the town. But after a few days, he had gone to the town and checked, it seems what happens? Nothing, he couldn't get anywhere any umbrella like the one that Binya had. So such umbrellas are available only in Delhi. So people, once they knew that they could not get hold of the umbrella, they could not use it, so they could not find an umbrella like that, they started thinking different bad things about the umbrella. They would think that even if it rained heavily, the umbrella cannot protect Binya. If the sun was there, if there was heavy sun, what happens? The umbrella could become pale and it could fade. If there is a wind, what happens? The umbrella would collapse. If there is a lightning, what happens? The umbrella might get damaged. So somehow the umbrella would take only bad luck. So like this, they did not get the umbrella, so they said all these reasons to console themselves, that is, make themselves feel better. But actually, what is the thing? They all admired that beautiful umbrella. Unlike the adults, the children didn't have to pretend. They were full of praise for the umbrella. It was so light, so pretty, so bright a blue. It was just the right size for Binya. They knew that if they said nice things about the umbrella, Binya would smile and give it to them to hold for a little while, just a very little while. Soon it was time for the monsoon. Big black clouds kept piling up and thunder rolled over the hills. So what happens is, these big people, grown-up people, they cannot actually ask the umbrella openly. So they could only think about this in this ways. But the children are very simple. They don't have to pretend. They just have to be what they are. So what all they'll do? They'll just praise umbrella and they praise it for Binya, praise it that saying that it is good for Binya, and Binya will hold the umbrella for some time. So she used to give them for a very little while only, but still she used to give it to them for keeping it for some time. So now what happens? There is a monsoon, that is the rainy season has come. So there was always big black clouds in the sky. Binya sat on the hillside all afternoon, waiting for the rain. As soon as the first big drop came down, she raised the umbrella over her head. More drops, big ones, came pattering down. She could see them through the umbrella silk as they broke against the cloth. And then there was a cloud burst, and it was like standing under a waterfall. The umbrella wasn't really a rain umbrella, but it held up bravely. Only Binya's feet got wet. Rods of rain fell around her in a curtain of shivered glass. So finally, Binya got to use the umbrella. Till then, there were no rains, but now the first rain is smashing. So Binya was happy to use the umbrella. As soon as big drops started rolling in, she held on to that umbrella. She opened her umbrella and held it straight to protect her from the rain. And the umbrella, though the umbrella is a fancy umbrella, still it held good on the rain. Only her feet got wet, but it kept her safe from the rainwater. Everywhere on the hillside, people were scurrying for shelter. Some made for a charcoal burner's hut, others for a mule shed or Rambarosa's shop. Binya was the only one who didn't run. This was what she had been waiting for, rain on her umbrella. And she wasn't in a hurry to go home. She didn't mind getting her feet wet. The cows didn't mind getting wet either. So finally the rain came. So what happened? Whenever the rain is coming, all the people scurried. That is, they put down their heads and fastly ran quickly to wherever they could find shelter. Some ran into the charcoal burners, that is a place where it used to be warm, and others to the mule shed, that is where the mules are being held, and some ran to the Rambarosa's shop. Binya didn't have to hurry. She was waiting for this day. She was waiting for the day when the rain could come and she could actually use the umbrella. She did not mind her feet getting wet. She was fine with that, and the cows did not mind at all getting themselves wet either. Presently, she found Biju sheltering in a cave. He would have enjoyed getting wet, but he had his school books with him and he couldn't afford to let them get spoiled. When he saw Benya, he came out of the cave and shared the umbrella. He was a head taller than his sister, so he had to hold the umbrella for her while she held his books. So, Biju was also caught in the rain on the way from his school to home. So he was sitting in a cave. Usually he will not mind the rain, but what happens is he had his books with him. So if the books get wet in the rain, he'll be in trouble. So he has been sheltering himself in the cave. And as soon as Binya reached him, both of them shared the umbrella. He was a little bit taller than her, so he held the umbrella and she held on to his books. The cows had been left far behind. Neelu, Neelu, called Binya. Gori, called Biju. When their mother saw them sauntering home through the driving rain, she called up, Binya, Biju, hurry up and bring the cows in. What are you doing out there in the rain? Just testing the umbrella, said Biju. So, they were slowly sauntering in the rain. They were walking very slowly in the rain. Even the cows were left far behind. So the cows were also slowly walking back to the home. But the mother saw them getting half drenched in the rain and she's shouting. She's asking them to bring the cows in quickly and ask them to come in and dry themselves. So she's asking, what are you doing there in the rain? So the Biju is telling, we are testing the umbrella in the rain. The rain set in and the sun only made brief appearances. The hills turned a lush green. Ferns sprang up on walls and tree trunks. Giant lilies stared up like leopards from the tall grass. A white mist coiled and coiled as it floated up from the valley. It was a beautiful season, except for the leeches. So, as soon as the rain sets in, what happens? Every place gets covered with greenery. So, all the plants turn into lush green because of all the rainwater falling on them. The hills became very green. Ferns, small ferns, all grew up on the walls and tree trunks, and the different kind of lilies and sprang up from small trees and grass, and there was a white mist, that is white fog, that came and went every morning and evening. It floated in the valley. So the season has changed, and so because of the change in the season, there is all beautiful beauty, just green beauty, natural beauty everywhere, except for the leeches. What do the leeches do? The leeches catch up they bite in the legs or hands and they suck up all the blood. Every day, Binya came home with a couple of leeches fastened to the flesh of her bare legs. They fell off by themselves just as soon as they had had their thimbleful of blood. But you didn't know they were on you until they fell off, and then later the skin became very sore and itchy. Some of the older people still believed that to be bled by leeches was a remedy for various ailments. Whenever Rambasa had a headache, he applied a leech to his throbbing temple. So this leeches, every day, Binya used to come home with one or two leeches stuck to her leg. So when the leeches bite, no one knows that they are biting. So what happens? They drink a thimble full of blood. They drink a good amount of blood from the person they are biting, and after they finish by drinking the blood, they just fall off by themselves. But older generation, what they used to think, the leeches should be the bleeding of blood. The sucking of blood by the leeches was good for so many diseases. Even still, the people used to practice things like this. When Rambagosa used to have a headache, what he will do? He'll apply a leech. He'll take a leech and put it on his forehead. So what happens? So that the leech sucks a little blood from his head, and he starts feeling better. That was what he believed. 3 days of incessant rain had flooded out a number of small animals who lived in holes in the ground. Binya's mother suddenly found the roof full of field rats. She had to drive them out. They ate too much of a stored up wheat flour and rice. Biju liked lifting up large rocks to disturb the scorpions who were sleeping beneath, and snakes came out to bask in the sun. So, say rainy season brought all kind of troubles. One is all small animals that used to live in the caves and behind the beneath the stones. All these animals used to come out because everywhere is filled with water. So suddenly, one day Binya's mother finds that all the roof is full of field rats. Then she used to drive them out because they will eat up all the wheat flour and rice that they have stored up for the other next season. Biju used to lift large rocks. When they lift large rocks, under the large rocks, what happens? There used to be scorpions and there used to be even snakes that used to hide inside the rocks. When he used to lift, these used to run away. Binya had just crossed a small stream at the bottom of the hill when she saw something gliding out of the bushes and coming towards her. It was a long black snake. A clatter of loose stones frightened it. Seeing the girl in its way, it rose up, hissing, prepared to strike. The forked tongue darted out, the venomous head lunged at Binya. So Binya was crossing the stream at the bottom of the hill and she saw something gliding out of the bushes. What was it? It was a long black snake. And what happens when she stumbled? The movement of the stones attracted the snake's attention. And what he came? The snake suddenly took his hood up and he started to hiss. That is, he was prepared to bite her. That is, it was prepared to poison her. Binya's umbrella was open as usual. She thrust it forward between herself and the snake, and the snake's hard snout thudded twice against the strong silk of the umbrella. The reptile then turned and slithered away over the wet rocks, disappearing in a clump of ferns. So what happens is the Binya, she always has an umbrella open. So with the open umbrella, the snake was just about to bite her. But what happens? She put the umbrella between her and the snake. And what happens? The snake's snout hits 2 times on the strong silk of the umbrella. So it does not attack Binya. So we're seeing that it did not have any effect. It slowly crawled away and disappeared. Binya forgot about the cows and ran all the way home to tell her mother how she had been saved by the umbrella. Biju had to put away his books and go out to fetch the cows. He carried a stout stick in case he met with any snakes. So, Binya already loved the umbrella very much. Now that the umbrella has saved her life from the snake. So she was so excited and she forgot about the cows and ran to the home to tell the story to the mother. And what happens? Biju was studying. So since she has left the cows at the mountain, he left the books and he went out to fetch the cows. And then he also took with him a stick so that the snakes does not come face to face with the snake. First the summer sun and now the endless rain meant that the umbrella was beginning to fade a little. From a bright blue, it had changed to a light blue, but it was still a pretty thing and tougher than it looked, and Rambarosa still desired it. He did not want to sell it, he wanted to own it. He was probably the richest man in the area, so why shouldn't he have the blue umbrella? Not a day passed without his getting a glimpse of Binya and the umbrella. And the more he saw the umbrella, the more he wanted it. So, as days passed, though there was summer, then there is the rain. So, the umbrella is getting worn off little by little. So, the bright blue color of the umbrella somehow became a pale blue. But still, it was beautiful. So, whose eyes was there on the umbrella? Rambarosa still desired to have the umbrella. He really wanted the umbrella for himself. He did not want to sell it, but he wanted to have it as a prized possession. So he was probably the richest man because he has his own shop and he sells a lot of things. So he was the richest man in the area. So he thinks that he should really have the umbrella and not that poor little girl. So every day, somehow Binya one times or two times she passed through the shop and with the umbrella, and somehow the more he saw the umbrella, the more he wanted to have it. The schools closed during the monsoon, but this didn't mean that Biju could sit at home doing nothing. Neelu and Gori were providing more milk than was required at home. So Binya's mother was able to sell a kilo of milk every day, half a kilo to the schoolmaster and a half a kilo at reduced rate to the temple pujari. Biju had to deliver the milk every morning. So the schools had closed. Summer has come, but still Biju could not, though the school is closed, Biju had work to do. The cows were giving pretty more milk. So what happens? Binya's mother used to sell the milk to the schoolmaster and to the pujari, temple pujari. Half a kilo to the schoolmaster, half a kilo to the temple pujari. And Biju was the one who used to take the milk to their houses. Ram Bharosa had asked Biju to work in his shop during the holidays, but Biju didn't have time. He had to help his mother with the ploughing and the transplanting of the rice seedlings. So Ram Bharosa employed a boy from the next village, a boy called Rajaram. He did all the washing up and ran various errands. He went to the same school as Biju, but the two boys were not friends. So Ram Bharosa first he asked Biju to work in his shop, but Biju, because he was busy with the cows and selling the milk, he was busy, so he had to help with the ploughing of the field. He has to transplant the rice seedlings, etc. He has got a lot of work. But Ram Bharosa, so what happened? He employed another village boy called Rajaram. Rajaram did the washing, cleaning, he did all small odd jobs that Ram Bharosa was telling him. Rajaram was in the same school as Biju, but they were not friends. One day, as Binya passed the shop, twirling her blue umbrella, Rajaram noticed that his employer gave a deep sigh and began muttering to himself. "What is the matter, Babuji?" asked the boy. "Oh, nothing," said Ram Bharosa. "It's just a sickness that has come upon me, and it's all due to that girl Binya and a wretched umbrella." "Why, what has she done to you?" "Refused to sell me her umbrella. There's pride for you, and I offered her 10 rupees. Perhaps if you gave her 12, but it isn't any longer. It isn't worth 8 rupees now. All the same, I'd like to have it." So one day the Rajaram saw that Ram Bharosa is looking at the umbrella that Binya was carrying, and he was deeply sighing. So he asked what happened. He is asking his owner. Ram Bharosa said, "Nothing. Nowadays I am feeling very sick because of the girl and the umbrella." So he is asking. He's telling, though I gave her 10 rupees, she refused to sell it to me. So he is asking, did you try giving her 12 rupees? So he is telling, it is not new any longer, so I can't give her 12 rupees, but still she is not ready to sell it, but I want to have the umbrella. "You wouldn't make a profit on it," said Rajaram. "It's not the profit I'm after, wretch. It is the thing itself. It is the beauty of it." "And what would you do with it, Babuji? You don't visit anyone. You are seldom out of your shop. Of what use would it be to you?" "Of what use is a poppy in a cornfield? Of what use is a rainbow? Of what use are you, numbskull? Wretch, I too have a soul. I want the umbrella because I want its beauty to be mine." So Rajaram is telling, see, the one is if you get the umbrella also, it is not going to be of profit. That is, if you want to sell it also, it's not going to make much money. So he is selling, it's not the profit I want to have the umbrella. So he's telling, what would you do? You don't use it, you don't go out, you don't visit any places. Why do you want the umbrella? Rajagam is asking. He's telling, what use is the rainbow? What use is the poppy seed? So these things are all meaningless, but still he wants umbrella because of the beauty of the umbrella, and he has a soul. So his soul wants it. His soul wants the umbrella to be his own. Rajagam put the kettle on boil, began dusting the counter, all the time muttering, I am as useful as an umbrella. And then, after a short period of intense thought, said, what will you give me, Babuji, if I get the umbrella for you? So Rajagam first, because the owner scolded him, telling that he is useless, he is a little vexed and he is telling, I am better than the umbrella. Then after some time he is asking, Babuji, what you will give me if I get the umbrella? What do you mean? Asked the old man. You know what I mean. What will you give me? You mean to steal it, don't you, you wretch? You, what a delightful child you are. I am glad you are not my son or my enemy. But look, everyone will know it has been stolen. And then how will I be able to show off with it? So, Rajagam understands, understands that Rajagam means to steal it. So, he is telling, if I steal it, everyone knows that it is Binya's umbrella. And if I steal it, people will think very wrong about me. I will not be, even if I steal it, I cannot take it anywhere. You will have to gaze upon it in secret, said Rajagam with a chuckle, or take it into terry and have it colored red. That's your problem. But tell me, Babuji, you want it badly enough to pay me 3 rupees for stealing it without being seen? So, this fellow Rajagam is a crooked kid. He is telling, you can keep it a secret. All you want to own it only, no? So, you keep it secret, or you take it to terry and have it into a colored as some other color. Like you can have it colored into a red one. So, that is your problem. But if you want me to steal the umbrella, I will do it for 3 rupees. Ram Bhavasa gave the boy a long, sad look. You are a sharp boy, he said. You will come to a bad end. I'll give you 2 rupees. 3, said the boy. 2, said the old man. You don't really want it. I can see that, said the boy. Wretch, said the old man. Evil one, darkener of my doorstep. Fetch me the umbrella and I'll give you 3 rupees. So, they are bargaining on how much rupees Ram Bhavasa will give for stealing that umbrella. So, he is stealing 2 rupees, then that fellow is stealing 3 rupees, and they argue and they somehow settle with 3 rupees. And he is scolding the boy, saying that he is an evil one and he is a darkener and stuff like that. But still, he is ready to pay him 3 rupees.